Unit 3, Quadratics. In this lesson, we'll be covering the formula for a quadratic equation, the box method, and keywords. This is the formula for a quadratic equation. Usually, you will start off with an equation that looks like this. This is A, this is B, this is C. The formula for a quadratic equation contains three variables, A, B, and C. This is A, this is B, this is C. Usually that's how the order will always be. There's our formula. So what we do is we plug in the numbers into the variables. And after that, we simplify, and we simplify once more. In the end, we will get these two equations. We get these two equations because of this plus and minus right here. This represents that we will get one equation that has a plus symbol and one equation that has a minus symbol. The reason for this is to get x1 and x2. Two common mistakes people make when using this formula is first this minus right here. Like you can see here where it says minus b, you want to make sure that even if the number here is negative, see like for example our b is negative 3x. When we want to plug in our b here, we want to make sure to add the minus outside of the parentheses and a minus 3 inside. That's important. Another mistake people make is here, the negative 4ac. You want to plug in your variables there, your numbers there that correspond with its variable. And first you multiply these two numbers and then you solve with this number. For example, so negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then you do negative 8 times negative 4, which is 32. And then you do whatever you have to do with this number here.
Quadratic keywords, the zeros. To find the zeros, you have to look at the bottom of the function and look at what touches the x-axis. And then to check and make sure you've gotten the correct points, you have to plug in the numbers one at a time into the quadratic equation, and if you end up with a 0, then you're correct. Next, the vertex. The vertex is either the maximum or minimum point of the function. This is basically the turning point, so just check the highest or lowest point of the function. And lastly, the y-intercept. The y-intercept is
one of the many methods of solving quadratic equation is the boxing method. And to start off, we make the big X and fill in the blanks. As you can see, the top and the bottom are already filled, but how did this happen? Well, we took the coefficient of the first term, multiplied it by the last term, which gave us the negative 3x squared. Then the bottom one is simply the b of the equation, which is 2x. Now we need to fill the blank spots. Considering all factors, negative 1 times 3 would fit the blank. How do we know this? This is because negative 1 times 3 is the only factor of negative 3 that gives us negative 3 when multiplied and 2 when we add them. So let's put that in there. Negative 1 and 3. This is where the boxing method comes. This is more helpful when you are working with a harder quadratic equation, but this is an easy example, so let's go. We put x squared on the first box, then diagonally from it, we would put negative 3. We need to put the linear terms in the blank boxes, so negative 1 and 3. The main purpose of this, the box, is to find the values of these side lengths by multiplying everything inside. So what times what is equal to x squared? X times x, which is also 1x, but you can just put x. Then we need to multiply x by something to give us negative 1x. Sorry, I have to add that. So x times -1 would give us -1x. Then 3 times x would give us 3x, obviously. Then 3 times -1 would give us -3. Now to put that in an equation fully, so that would be x minus 1, then x plus 3, right, is equal to 0. Then we make this into 2 separate equations to find our answers. X minus 1 is equal to 0. So let's start off with the first one, then we'll move on to the second equation. So we just simply add, just solve it like an equation. We would get x is equal to 1. We know that this is one of our answers, that one. Then let's move on to the second one. X plus 3 is equal to 0. So subtract both sides by 3, and you get x is equal to -3. So these are our answers. This one and that one.